Highlighting a story from theweek.in/news. A gene therapy breakthrough enables a deaf boy to hear for the first time. In a remarkable breakthrough, an 11-year-old boy has regained his ability to hear after receiving pioneering gene therapy. Asaim Dam, from Morocco, who was born with congenital deafness, became the first person in the United States to undergo this revolutionary treatment. On October 4th, 2023, Dam underwent a groundbreaking surgical procedure at the renowned Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. The operation involved partially lifting his eardrum and introducing a modified virus, specifically engineered to transport functional copies of the otoferlin gene into the fluid of his cochlea. This innovative approach kick-started the production of the missing protein in his hair cells, ultimately restoring their proper function. Highlighting a story from TheGuardian.com, Ethiopia is hailing the return of its first plane, stolen by Mussolini in the 1930s. Almost 9 decades after it was stolen by Benito Mussolini's fascist regime, the Italian government has officially returned Ethiopia's first plane. The official handover of the aircraft, built in 1935 during the reign of Selassie. The aircraft was a collaborative effort between the German pilot Herr Ludwig Weber and Ethiopian engineers. By the time it was abandoned in Addis Ababa in May 1936 as Italian forces approached the Ethiopian capital, according to historians, the aircraft was requisitioned and taken to Italy after Mussolini occupied Ethiopia, known then as Abyssinia, in 1935. Highlighting a story from ArabNews.com, Norway, a top donor of the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees, or UNRWA, is urging countries that have cut funding to the agency to consider the consequences of their actions on the population of Gaza, its former minister told Reuters on Wednesday. The Nordic country on Sunday said it would maintain its funding to UNRWA following accusations that some agency staff took part in the October 7th attack by Hamas militants. Meanwhile, the U.S. is calling for fundamental changes at the UNRWA. U.S. Ambassador to the UN Linda Thomas-Greenfield welcomed the UN inquiry from the accusations against staff of the United Nations Relief of Works Agency for Palestine refugees in the Near East, and a planned agency review. Earlier on Tuesday, the UN Security Council expressed concern about the dire and rapidly deteriorating humanitarian situation and urged all parties to work with UN Humanitarian and Reconstruction Coordinator for Gaza, Sigrid Kaag. Highlighting a story from BBC.com, Imran Khan, former Pakistan PM, and wife Bushra Bibi are jailed for corruption. Imran Khan and his wife Bushra Bibi have been jailed for 14 years, the second sentence handed to Pakistan's former prime minister in 2 days. The couple were convicted of illegally profiting from state gifts just a week before a general election in which he is barred from standing. Khan, who was ousted as PM by his opponents in 2022, is already serving a 3-year jail term for corruption. He says that the numerous cases against him are politically motivated. Wednesday's court case revolved around accusations over state gifts that he and his wife received while in office, while Tuesday's case, for which he was sentenced 10 years, for leaking classified state documents. The court has also ordered the couple to pay a fine of about 1.5 billion rupees. Highlighting a story from NBCSanDiego.com, a student and a father have been arrested after explosives were found. Police received several reports last Friday saying that the suspected teen was showing concerning videos and making threatening statements against the school for Tuesday. That same day, the student, who was not named because he was underage, was arrested and taken to juvenile hall. Police took out a gun violence restraining order on the teen's home. On Tuesday morning, unregistered, unserialized firearms, manufacturing supplies to make ghost guns, both rifles and handguns, as well as a large number of explosives and rocket-propelled grenades were found at the home, police said. The father, 45-year-old Neil Anders, was arrested and booked into San Diego County Jail on several charges. Highlighting a story from APnews.com, a Colorado police chief is on leave, pending a criminal case after reported rapes during a party at his house. A southwestern Colorado police chief has been placed on a paid administrative leave after charges were filed against 3 men in a case of a 17-year-old girl who reported being raped by more than one person during a party at the chief's house. According to the court records, Wood was reportedly asleep during the party. The charges became widely known when a man stole nearly every copy of the Ouray County Plain Dealer from newspaper racks on January 18th. The day was published with a story about the case. The man, who is not related to anyone in law enforcement or the defendants, was cited for thefts. In social media posts, he said he was trying to protect the victim.
And that was MFN News for you. Is your Illinois driver's license suspended? Your driving privileges are important to your livelihood. You need your driver's license to drive to work, get the kids to school, or go shopping. Your driving privileges are crucial for your lifestyle. If your driver's license is suspended, call attorney Mark Sheblo at 773-775-5050 to begin procedures to have your driver's license reinstated by the Illinois Secretary of State's office. That phone number for Mark Sheblo is 773-775-5050. Mark Sheblo is an attorney with over 29 years of experience. Call him today at 773-775-5050. Visit his website at SheblowLawOffice.com. That's SCIBLO lawoffice.com.
The views and opinions in the following show do not necessarily reflect that of this station or its ownership.
Welcome to a political talk show on the Multi-Format Network and broadcasting live at 1590 WCGO AM. Thank you, WCGO, for having us on. Thank you, Multi-Format Network, for distributing a political talk show. My name is Dennis Sonar Green, and along with my esteemed executive producer, Ben Demonium Boquest, a political talk show delivers to you the news and about the news. We talk about how there are a lot of different news conglomerates and everything else in the world. And somebody needs to keep them in check as well. It is important on where your source comes from. We all need water, right? We need water to drink, to live, to stay. But the water that comes out of some sources is different than the water that comes out of others. I'm sure you don't want to ladle a few scoops from your toilet to make your party punch. Just
Actually a proposed initiative. No joke. There's like a company that's like trying to do like repurpose wastewater into filtered drinking water.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
Cut the middleman out of big water treatment.
I don't know. It's actually it's a beer company. Look it up.
Yeah, I'll have to look it up. But essentially, it's different, you know? But if I'm in a different situation where the only water I do have, toilet water would be great. So please stay out of the news deserts where any little bit of information you latch onto and love. Drink into the plethora of the oasis that is the internet and find multiple sources of water and sources for your news and reflect on those. If they are your flavor, then heck, stay that direction and that's what you want. But make sure that you reach out to as many different sources as possible. You want to make sure that your water is the cleanest you can get. With that, today we are going to salute a middle of the bias sphere, a high factuality news source, The Messenger. I think it's only been 8 months that The Messenger has been around, but they tried as hard as they could to be center of the road. I think the problem is that they got a little too big for their britches.
It's ambitious is what people are.
Ambitious. That's a good word. That's a good word for it. The Messenger, an online news site, abruptly shut down after 8 months of operation, despite investing $50 million in its business efforts. The site aimed to become a nonpartisan media heavyweight, but faced financial challenges and did not generate enough web traffic to reach its goal of 100 million readers. The closure follows a trend of layoffs within the media industry, including major outlets like the Los Angeles Times, Sports Illustrated, and Business Insider. If you want to read more, the Associated Press for the blue side or Fox News for the other side. Obviously, the Messenger is reporting a little bit on it, but if you're looking for the center, again, The Hill, Deadline, and Political Wire is what you're going to shoot right down the gut if you don't want any bias, or as little bias as possible. High factuality again on The Hill and Deadline. National is Political Wire as well for high factuality on that side. Usually when you don't have bias, it's usually high factuality. Hate to see the Messenger go, but it is what it is. We've talked about it before, even with Jamie Burrows. We talked about how in this age of people only wanting to get their news source from one single thing, we need to have a Dan Rather out there in the world, a Cronkite. You know what I mean? We need somebody with that cult of personality to then turn around and be benevolent. But then again, I sound like the people I don't want. I don't want a king of media. And I just contradicted the entire first 2.5 minutes of my rant today.
It's tough to think about. The media industry has just changed so much. I mean, for God's sake, Sports Illustrated just shut down earlier this month. Like
crazy.
Magazines, print, publications, it's just so different nowadays. And the real shame is that all the people that are losing their jobs, the trained, accredited professionals out there. The good side of that is that it's super easy to make your own content now.
Yes.
So go out
especially
there,
with AI, and I think that's what's happening right now.
Right, yeah, you maybe you got replaced with AI. Maybe you use AI a little bit to do better than AI alone.
I think this is the first round of AI layoffs because obviously content and just writing facts in a way to present them entertainingly, I think is the purpose of an AI. I mean, you can use it to deliver and essentially convey however you need to. And you can take the facts, and I would much rather have a computer take the facts and then spit the facts out to me as flatly as possible, right? And I think this is the first line. But the thing is, exactly like you said, I think this is the rise of the maybe second or third wave of online reporters and journalists. That's it. I mean, we had the first line of YouTube before Google owned them. They were the first line of journalists that came in that were going. You can arguably say that the second wave of journalists are the TikTok side of it, where it's like, or arguably Twitter as well. I mean, that same kind of thing where you can't stop somebody who is there, a bystander, take a picture and go. There is no medium that needs to be, or filter that it needs to run through. I'm here on site. I'm going to take a picture and report it.
Yeah. In this day and age, I think it's like you see the people making most money on those sites and doing live stream stuff is, the gamers and the people just, making goofy videos and all that stuff. And now in the day and age, to say that phrase again, where it's just like people are almost forced into being political or having some type of political opinion, like journalism and that type of stuff could, gain more ability to get advertising revenue and be less, adverse to getting those dollars, like a giant conglomerate like the Messenger was doing.
Well, and a smaller team needs less dollars too. The independents that are out there, they're only paying their own bills to maintain it. I mean, with the way that media is set up right now, if you spent 6-7 months with putting out 15-minute news reel videos and things, you would get enough traction to where within a year you're making enough money to support yourself.
Yeah. Give us a call, Multi-Format Network.
Yeah, Multi-Format Network. We've done it before. The highest grossing podcast that we have right now, and I'll keep it a secret because I'm giving out numbers and monies, they make over 6 figures with their podcast. It is amazing. They make over 6 figures with it. I think over the 500 mark of those 6 figures. So, but they crank them out every day and move it from there. As far as YouTube goes and things, I think the PPM for YouTube is still sitting at $7.
Yeah, it's rough since they changed it.
Yeah, but there are other outlets out there too.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, you're still looking at being able to get, because I mean, what is it? If I could make $150 a day, if I could make $200 a day, that's enough to support you as a person, you know? So what is that? That's maybe 3 videos that all went over 15 or 20,000 views. You know what I mean? It's not it's not unachievable goals, really is what we're trying to say. And that's where I think this is the new age of independent journalism. And this is where the new Wild West is going. We've all said it before in digital media over the last 10 years. It's just been the Wild West. Whatever you can put up, and it's just gunslingers here and there, just independent people. Now that media in general is starting to kind of colonize, I guess is the best way to do it. They're forming the groups, they're forming the towns along the railroad. So the Wild West isn't becoming as wild. It's becoming a bit more civilized. We've all kind of figured out the general manners of how the internet should run. And I think now having independent news organizations grow instead of what the Messenger did of just coming directly in. You said there are a couple of large legacy media outlets that are on strike today.
Yes, 7 newsrooms today are on strike. Journalists from those newsrooms to say Chicago Tribune, Orlando Sentinel, Virginian Pilot, Morning Call, Suburban Chicago Tribune, Design and Production Studios, and the Tribune Content Agency.
It sounds like some of those are owned by the same company.
A lot of paper names. Tribune is in there a couple times.
Yeah, I think those are owned probably
it's spread out, as you can see. Florida, Virginia. I don't know where Morning Call's from. 2 from Chicago though. So.
Well, yeah. Well, Nexstar owns a lot of things too, so they may own a few of them in there.
Absolutely.
So that list may represent maybe 4 different companies.
Yeah.
But still,
7.
That's a lot of newsrooms that are on strike. And all striking brothers and sisters, we're behind you. Get your fair share. Get a place at the table. That's really all it is. That's all unions ever are, is a cry to have a place at the table.
Yeah, it's so, in a time when it's so important to have credible journalists writing articles. It's really something I think it's just common sense to practices in the newsroom to pay your journalists.
Well, and this is where the underground's going to take over, I think. Sure, you may have a news pedigree. Sure, you may have a bachelor in journalism and then a master in communications or whatever it is. But that used to be the threshold.
Yeah, sad as that.
That used to be what you had to have. Now you can run circles around somebody else by just making your own independent media.
Yeah.
So if that's the goal, I mean, we live in a system of capitalism of let's make some dollars, let's keep going. Being an independent person and being a owner, heck, if I'm a person and a citizen and I'm also a business owner, well, my business is people, right? Businesses are people too. So heck, I just got 2 votes.
There you go.
Let's go. Let's make another business. Yep. 1590 WCGO, a political talk show. We are going to come back with a bit more news of the day. There are people out there that are trying to change your opinion, and we are trying to deliver the facts so that those opinions can be shining. Let's be informed and listen to a political talk show. We'll be right back.
Yeah, thanks to our new Twitch follower at A Gender Witch. You're awesome.
Gender Witch, woo!
Are you looking for a way to be creative right now? Have you ever wanted to learn to watercolor paint? You can now do that from the comfort of your own home with Zoom watercolor classes. Get professional instruction from nationally showing artist Victoria Elizabeth. These classes are step-by-step, broken down with easy-to-understand instructions. They're affordable too, at $15 for a 2-hour class. Visit her website at victoriaelizabethart.com to find out more. That's victoriaelizabethart.com. Every year in Illinois, over 30,000 drivers are arrested for DUI. Due to improper testing procedures, many people end up being wrongfully charged. The book DUIs Decoded cuts right to the chase and tells you how proper DUIs arrests are supposed to be made, from the initial traffic stop to the reasoning behind the field sobriety test, all the myths and facts about taking a breathalyzer, and more. DUIs Decoded is written by nationally recognized DUI expert witness William Polarinos. Available now at Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com.
Riverwalk Counseling Center of Naperville understands taking the first step towards better emotional and mental health can be hard. Finding the right therapy doesn't have to be.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. My grandpa Lou is the reason why my dad and I started racing, and I'm really proud to follow in his tracks. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. I've learned a lot on this journey with my grandpa Lou, and the memories of my grandpa will always be with me. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Talking about Alzheimer's can be really tough, but if you notice something, have a conversation with your loved one. Encourage them to see a doctor or offer to go with them. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. The Alzheimer's Association provides care, support, and research to help you take control of the situation with your family and manage the disease together. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. Visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
It's really fun.
It's easy.
I'm really glad I helped.
There's nothing like our Great Lakes beaches for year-round outdoor fun, but we do need to protect them. Thanks to Adopt a Beach cleanups, more of our shorelines are being kept healthier, safer, and beautiful. The Alliance for the Great Lakes wants you to join this movement with thousands of volunteers. Learn how at greatlakes.org/adopt.
It's just something that's so important.
Beach cleanups are fun and make a huge difference to our Great Lakes and all they offer. Countless pounds of litter end up on our beaches each year. About 85% of that is plastic. With your help, we're cleaning it up. Bring yourself or come with a friend. Community groups, schools, businesses, everyone is welcome. You can make a difference and have a lot of fun doing it. Go to greatlakes.org/adopt and join us on the beach.
The Great Lakes! Yay!
Welcome back to 1590 WCGO. A political talk show is what you're listening to. So the next time somebody says, hey, what do I listen to? A political talk show. And they go, which one? And you could say, oh, well, I'm informed and I understand things. Well, how do you know so much? How did you know that this thing was happening? Oh, well, I watched a political talk show. And they'll go, well, which one? And you could say a political talk show, dummy. Who's on first? Mm-hmm. That's essentially what we've got going on here. And we love you, audience. Thank you for being here with us. Speaking of audience, we always talk about how really for a news conglomerate to continue, they have to, you got to kind of tailor to your audience. And if you start out as a bias, and you start out as a haven for a certain mindset, then you still if you want to keep those people, you have to continue that haven. So you look at The Messenger, or you look at MSNBC or Fox. So the people who subscribe to MSNBC and Fox, and arguably CNN, that's why CNN got such a hard rap when it tried to move more center. And a lot of that is because they're building an audience. And if you start with a bias and then one day you change that bias, or you say something nice about the thing that you're supposed to be against, your audience goes after you and you get burned. And that's why you should always strive from the very beginning, day one, to not have this bias. And therefore, the people know exactly what you're going to get. So we're going to talk a little bit about red bias. They're inside of the Republican side of their media and everything else. There is a bias that is happening within themselves. Obviously, they want to treat Donald Trump as the incumbent president. When you talk about it and you say, okay, well, in New Hampshire, let's talk about the actual incumbent president, Joe Biden. In the New Hampshire side, there was 10% that said that they would not vote for Joe Biden. Flat out said they wouldn't do it. And they said, well, and this is from the Fox 5, is what I'm trying to bring this point up. Our girl, what's her name on the Fox 5? I can't remember her name.
The liberal.
The liberal on the Fox 5. See,
you made me forget it now.
I know. I just think. Well, anyway, it'll come to us. Anyway, they were talking about how that's a bad number for an incumbent. 10% turning around and saying, I will not vote for the incumbent at all, is really bad. But then you look at how Donald Trump has been not only risen up by the RNC, but also Jessica Tarlov.
Yep.
See, I got it as you're searching. I can see you searching.
Karlov.
Yeah, Jessica Tarlov.
That's my mnemonic device to remember that.
Karlov, but she's phenomenal because she comes with the facts, even though there may be some people that are dealing with feelings.
Yeah, she's got a tough job. Huh?
She does have a tough job.
Just sighing.
1 against 4 on the 5 is rough.
Yeah,
is rough.
Juan Cruz had enough.
Yeah, he was like, I'm done. But Tarlov can hold her own. So we're looking at numbers essentially at that point. So you look at the numbers of New Hampshire for Donald Trump. Donald Trump is supposedly the incumbent as well. 35% of them did not want to vote for Trump or would never vote for Trump. And if we talk about how Donald Trump is the perceived incumbent, that's what Fox News is kind of putting, and it is even what the RNC put out just a couple of days ago. They're floating an idea, since Nikki Haley is still running, the RNC is floating this idea that they should start calling Donald Trump the perceived candidate. So we've got to kind of look at what somebody's trying to drive you towards. Obviously, as a marketer, I would want to get you to buy my product because that's the whole game. You look at the Pepsi challenge, right? You say, what am I going to have, Coke or Pepsi? But if I keep talking about Coke in my advertisements, then I'm essentially giving name recognition to my competitor. So that's where I think what's really frustrating Donald Trump right now, and this is according to Maggie Haberman, who writes for the New York Times. I've seen her on a couple of CNN interviews and some other things that are out there. And she talks a lot of she's close to Trump in the fact that maybe every couple months they'll get on the phone with each other. But she is the de facto Trump analysis. And from her, Trump is upset about Joe Biden calling him a loser.
Oh,
he's really upset about that. I mean, because according to his mind, and Jessica Tarlov brought this up too, according to his mind, Trump won. Trump is the pseudo incumbent, right? Again, back to that 35% say they will not vote for Donald Trump. Doesn't matter. Some of them even went as far as to say that we will vote for Joe Biden if it comes up.
That's a chunk.
35 versus Joe Biden's 10%?
Yeah.
That
only 10% is
way
what
different.
You're saying?
So that's why Biden is leaning in a little bit more. The loser, the 6-time loser and still loser type of language. And then the other thing that Donald Trump is really frustrated about, and this is just campaign side. You want to talk about his legal woes or whatever, let's go. But the campaign side of it, he's still mad that Nikki Haley is still here. According to him, he won New Hampshire and Nikki Haley should have bowed out. My thing is Nikki Haley should stay in for the entire thing, all the way up to making the RNC choose Donald Trump and make them bet on him. Not just like, oh, he's our only choice. Nope, stay in, Nikki. We are all about choice around here. I wouldn't choose you. Just to be frank, I wouldn't choose you, Nikki Haley, but I want you as a choice. I want more and more choices.
Yeah, I remember in 2016, the primary time, it was a thought of a lot of people to sign up and vote for the opposition to Trump in that election. Doesn't seem like that's going to be effective. It wasn't then. Again,
it's going to be the independents that decide it.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it looks like that's what's going to happen. That she is going to stay in for that reason.
Stay in. I want her to stay in because essentially what happens to the RNC when they turn around and bet? Let's say Nikki Haley drops out.
I predicted.
Which you think? I think she will. I mean, I don't want her to. I want her to keep pushing. I want her to keep going.
It looks like she's staying in though.
But after Carolina, after South Carolina, then it's a whole. Let me get back on mic. I'm sorry. After South Carolina, I think that's where she's really going to make the decision. But I think she should push all the way until all of the primaries are over, and then make the RNC choose it. So let's say she drops out. RNC is now stuck with Trump, because who are they going to bring up? Nothing. Now let's turn around and say, okay, RNC, Donald Trump is now disqualified from running for office. Or I'm sorry, for holding office. We found that distinction with the Supreme Court yesterday. Listen to that show. It's podcasted. A political talk show, just in case you want to know it. But essentially, it's the verbiage. Is he's allowed to run, but the 14th Amendment says he's not allowed to serve as that office, cannot serve in that office. So you say, well, what's the point of letting him run? Well, it doesn't say he can't run. It's the Air Bud rule of the election. So let's say, flat out, Supreme Court says, you know what, can't hold office, can't do anything. What is the RNC going to do? They're going to pull from the bleachers that they just kicked out? That's where I think Nikki Haley needs to stay in. If she is a thorn in Trump's side, that is her lane. Her lane doesn't need to be the only female candidate. Her lane doesn't need to be the youngest candidate because there's only two. It's her and him. She doesn't need to take a minority approach with it. She just needs to turn around and say, I'm not him.
She's relishing in that, I feel like. What now? Let me ask you this question then.
Yeah.
How does she stack up against Biden, who's trailing?
So now she doesn't have a snowball's chance with Biden because Biden is already the established incumbent. So even if she does take over, there's going to be a lot of always Trumpers that aren't going to go to Nikki Haley. And I haven't seen the exact numbers on it, but let's say they're comparable. Let's say they're in the 30s as well, because that's essentially where he's at right now.
Well, what we'd agree that the only way Nikki Haley gets in is if Trump has to go out.
Exactly. But there are a lot of never Nickies. Okay. Is essentially what it is. So, but
I think they'd switch to vote for their Republican.
Some of them would. So right now, Trump, even in New Hampshire, was 50-something%. I think it was 54% of what he got. 34% said they would never vote for him. The other percentage is somewhere with Nikki with that other 40-something%. But according to people who voted in New Hampshire, essentially 35% of Nikki's 40-something% said they would never vote for Trump. So you take that and flip it to Trump now, there are at least 35% that are diehard always Trumpers. In the poll, even from Iowa, they said we're not going to vote for anybody else but Trump, and that was in the 30s somewhere. I have to pull that up, but I think that was an ABC report on that one. It was an exit poll if you want to look it up. But essentially, I think somewhere below or around 30% are going to be the only Trumpers, and they're either going to write Trump in or they're not going to show up. And having that large swath, but the thing is Nikki Haley is better than independents. And that's where, really, this is going to be the people who do not have party lines are the ones that are going to decide this next election. That's just the way it is. So, and if you don't have party affiliation and loyalty or whatever, it comes down to policies. And the red hat policies are not in line with the blue hat policies that the American people are necessarily aligned with. And I'm not saying 100%. It's closer with most things. It's the high 60s, low 70s for most of the policies that the blue hats want. So that's where the scaring of don't go out and vote, or we need to suppress the vote and then turn around, and that's what their goal is. Paul, welcome to the show. Thank you for wrapping up the things that you were doing.
Yeah, busy production day for us, which is great. I love it when it's nonstop production. It means we're busy. So yeah, it was, thanks for having me in. I was listening to the show while you guys were. I was wrapping up with there. Yeah, of course it was. You guys are talking lots of great stuff, and yeah, especially this time I was hoping to jump in.
This was essentially the article that I wanted to kind of put on, but there is an article out by the AP that inside Donald Trump's curious relationship with Fox News, and what we're talking about is the bias that are even within the Republican side of the House.
Sure, yeah.
So, do you think that First off, do you think that Fox News has a bias to Donald Trump other than DeSantis or Nikki Haley? Those are the two that were complaining about it. Secondly, do you think that bias is okay? Do you think they're allowed to have that bias?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a biasness towards him, and I think depending on how you market yourself is how. So if you're going to market yourself as a news channel, no, you cannot have any biasness. But if you're going to be like an entertainment network or however we a lot of people think of them as, I think of them as state propaganda personally. But then there's that too. So
but words are changing, Ben. News can be bias. Right?
Sure.
This is what's changing is I think what we talked about in the first segment was flooding the gates with everybody. Everybody can be a journalist now. Everybody can report the news. Now, is bias baked in now? Is news not necessarily down the middle? Yeah. Is news just here's some facts and I want to put something behind it?
Yeah, it's always been a flavored, choose your flavor kind of thing, from red to blue to pink, purple, all the way to, people find their
yellows and greens.
Sure.
Yeah. No, to your point about independent journalists, I think you talked about setting up the villages, and you're right. That's where it's going, because the American people just have lost complete trust in the mainstream media, printed, television. There's just no trust, and rightfully so, mind you.
Yes.
Rightfully so, and that's why we talked about this before. Substack is great, and then there are other up and coming independent news or like the Gray Zone. I like a lot what they do with Max Blumenthal, Aaron Monte. And then you got guys on Substack like Matt Taibbi, Christopher Hedges, Abby Martin, and done great work on it.
Follow your favorite writers. Maggie Haberman is what we've talked about as well. There are plenty of people that are out there to follow. I mean, I follow Chuck Todd because, every once in a while you need a wet blanket. But essentially, this is what we're encouraging. Go out, find it again, and read everything. Watch as many things as you can. We'll be back, Apolitical Talk Show, right here, 1590 WCGO. If you have been charged with driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs in Cook County, DuPage County, or Lake County, Illinois, call the law office of Mark Sheblow at 773-775-5050. That's 773-775-5050. Attorney Mark Sheblow has over 29 years of law experience handling DUI defense, traffic violations, CDL violations, and Secretary of State driver's license reinstatement hearings. All aspects of your case will be examined in order to find evidence that may help your case, especially the statutory summary suspension of your driving privileges. If your breath alcohol concentration level at the time of the DUI arrest is 0.08 or more, then the summary suspension of your driver's license begins 46 days after the arrest. Time is a crucial factor in challenging the summary suspension of your driver's license. Our law office is located at 5945 North Elston Avenue in Chicago. That's 5945 North Elston Avenue in Chicago. And again, our office phone number is 773-775-5050.
Why? Why take a chance? Why risk a mistake? Why say something? We all have reasons why we choose to ignore the things that give us pause, that seem out of place, that don't feel right. The word why can either paralyze us or empower us to stand up and protect what we love. So if you see something, why do you say something?
I see safe for my family.
I see safe for my friends.
I see say for my students.
We see say for each other.
I see safe because all of this matters.
We all have something worth protecting, a why that unifies this community we're all a part of. So protect your everyday. Report suspicious activity to local authorities. If you see something, say something.
If you have been charged with driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs in Cook County, DuPage County, or Lake County, Illinois, call the law office of Mark Sheblow at 773-775-5050. That's 773-775-5050. Attorney Mark Sheblow has over 29 years of law experience handling DUI defense, traffic violations, CDL violations, and Secretary of State driver's license reinstatement hearings. All aspects of your case will be examined in order to find evidence that may help your case, especially the statutory summary suspension of your driving privileges. If your breath alcohol concentration level at the time of the DUI arrest is 0.08 or more, then the summary suspension of your driver's license begins 46 days after the arrest. Time is a crucial factor in challenging the summary suspension of your driver's license. Our law office is located at 5945 North Elston Avenue in Chicago. That's 5945 North Elston Avenue in Chicago. And again, our office phone number is 773-775-5050. Welcome back to 1590 WCGO. You're listening to A Political Talk Show brought to you by the Multi-Format Network. I can't believe we've made it all the way through this entire show without my light on. Thank you.
Oh, didn't even notice that.
No, I noticed it in the first segment, but I forgot about it in the second.
Oh.
So, so it's not until the light is in your face that you remember it, right? It's been sitting here in front of us the entire time, but hey, you know what? Sometimes it happens, man.
Yeah.
We do a couple hundred of these.
I've been flexing my cinematography skills in here. The good thing no one can notice.
You
That's
look
the
the
great
best.
thing about it's a little washed out now. I think we lost another light in here. So
Oh, well, we got to get some of those.
It's not the best webcam that I'm dealing with here, but
The biggest thing is you don't want to look sick.
yeah,
That's really it. Nobody wants to hop on a call and see a Simpson
yeah,
on the
bags
other
under
end.
the eyes. Simpson.
A Simpson, yeah, just the all yellow all the time.
Jaundice.
Yeah, all yellow. Yeah, it's crazy out there. Anyway, we're going to talk about another sickness. They call it the Swift. The Swift is a sickness out there. If you look up Urban Dictionary,
Swift.
they talk about, sorry, can't chill, I've got the Swift. And I think that's what's rolling. I think we're going to have to change the definition to it, but it is similar to what is happening right now. There are a lot of people that are mad at the Chiefs and Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, and they think it's a psyop, and they think not only is Joe Biden running a campaign out of his basement, which I guess has an ice cream parlor in it, and is on a beach, he also has enough time to get the NFL, Taylor Swift, and all the other media outlets to run this psyop for it. The Swift, a sickness caused by the overconsumption of Taylor Swift music.
Not possible.
Hey, symptoms include tears, over-exorbitant joy, anxiety, dizziness, shortness of breath, personality change, may cause you to become bedridden for an undetermined amount of time. Treatments are yet to be discovered. And I bring this up because of our good buddy, Sean Hannity.
He's got the Swift.
He's got the Swift. He's caught up in the Swift. Have you heard any about this, Paul? Any about what everybody's going on?
Oh yeah, I watch.
You're the
watched
Twitter
the
sphere.
FNL. Well, it's not honestly. You don't see this as much on. The only thing that went kind of viral when it comes to Taylor Swift was, I don't know if you saw AI. Someone was, and I feel bad for her. Some jerk out there took her likeness and just blasted X on just dozens of AI pictures of her in compromising and inappropriate positions, naked, and it was disgusting. And that's the only thing I've really seen
all over X, though.
Yeah, all over.
In response to that, I saw something 100 people added back to the team for stopping these types of things, the security team or whatever by Musk. So
you don't mess around with the Swifties, man.
Right. I mean, yeah, the literal most famous person right now. That's in half of articles and
she's the most popular song, or how do you say, pop artist in the generation right now, right?
Well, if you take out the American January 6th choir,
right.
So don't you know that they are beating Taylor Swift in the charts? I heard it from a very credible source. Sarcasm.
That's
hashtag sarcasm. Thank you.
Trump is
a
singer.
that,
I forget that Trump is a singer and just says that terrible
AI
stuff.
rap. I remember that.
Yeah, but essentially, Sean Hannity warns Taylor Swift not to endorse Joe Biden, and that's the thing. Is Taylor Swift, I believe, in the past has done it.
Yeah.
But what they're really mad about is when she put the link to vote.org. There were, I think the number was close to the 30 to 40,000 people that signed up in a single day. That's what they're afraid of. And it's the same thing that Lindsey Graham has talked about before, which is why Lindsey Graham is one of the first people to tell you that we should not have a federal voting rights act. He wants people to jump through hoops and have the money and the time and everything else to vote because voting is a privilege, and you should jump through hoops to get that privilege. But essentially, Sean Hannity criticized Taylor Swift on his Fox News show for potentially endorsing Joe Biden, which she hasn't done yet in this election in any kind of way, just hasn't done it. Potentially endorsing Joe Biden, by the way. Swift has endorsed Biden in 2020 and criticized Trump, but has not yet stated her position for the 2024 race. Poll conducted by Redfield and Wilton Strategies found that 18% of voters are more likely to support a candidate endorsed by Taylor Swift. You could read about that in the Political Wire, The Hill, or sadly, The Messenger while it is still around. Mediaite, if you want to have the left kind of sprinkled in there as well.
If you go to themessenger.com right now, it just says The Messenger.
Please, no. So if I hit this, you're telling me that if I do this, it's just info at themessenger.com?
Yes.
Boo.
Yeah.
The Super Bowl's
really
next
shuttered
week.
everything. Got to save that money on the...
I missed
It's
it.
a
I could have
domain.
read that article. I could have read that article.
Let's scoop up.
It went away.
It's okay.
Man. It was a high factuality-centered article, and I didn't get to read it.
You could have been on Cheers, man. You could have been on Cheers. That's fine.
It's the one that got
We
away.
all could have been on Cheers. The good thing is that now we could get the messenger. Now we're the messenger.
We're the messenger.
We're phasing out Twitter.
Their loss is our gain.
Yeah, you need a message. Gotcha.
That's it. Read it on the Hill. Read about it almost everywhere. It's for some reason is just ticking these people off. Like it is even gone to the point. Who's the guy who just replaced Tucker Carlson?
Gutfield?
No, not Gutfield. The other one who's got the
Is it Waters?
Waters.
Waters,
Jesse
yeah.
Waters. He was like he did the whole thing, the same thing that Tucker does. I'm just asking questions, but isn't it a coincidence that the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl again? Like guy, first off, that either tells me you don't know what a psyop is, or secondly, you don't follow football.
Yeah.
But for the last 4 years, what team has been there? 3 out of
It's their
those
fourth
4.
Super Bowl
Yeah.
appearance in it was like 6 years, something crazy like that.
Yeah, the last 4 of them, they've been here for 3, right?
Yeah.
So don't be mad at Taylor Swift and Travis
They were there
Kelce.
last year. They're the returning champs.
Obviously, Mahomes needs to be taking some of this blame for this psyop, right?
Here's where
if he just wasn't so good, bro, the Biden administration.
Where's the hate on all the like home insurance?
State Farm.
Exactly.
Home insurance is a psyop.
And by the way, Taylor Swift, what? Nobody on the Bengals was nice enough? That's a good group of guys. Like, you couldn't have found one of them, and then we could have psyoped maybe the Bengals winning the Super Bowl? Come on now.
I'll say this, and I've been, I was speaking to my other football friends about this.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I want to preface this carefully. I'm not mad at her. I'm not mad at her Travis Kelce, her boyfriend. I am mad at the NFL though, because they are taking advantage of. I'm not even going into the psyop thing. I'm just talking about the fact that every 10 seconds they go right to her, her press box, like every little reaction. It's like. It's not her fault. She's there doing what she's supposed to be doing. I'm not mad at it's the NFL.
Oversaturation.
Yeah, they're just those, just vampires, just trying to take, because I think Kelsey's jersey sales went up 400%. Maybe you could say it's a psyop, for the Chiefs organization, if anything, but for the NFL, no, it's not her fault, and I feel sorry for them. And
Do they have Chiefs jerseys that say Swift on the back?
Oh yeah.
Do they have those?
Oh, well,
That
they gotta
has
be
to be.
custom. You can
has to be.
customize a jersey. So yeah,
That's what I want.
Hilarious.
That's what I want. Like if I was gonna rock a Chiefs jersey, it would say Swift on
She's
the
the
back.
13th player, man.
But that's it. But that's back to marketing and capitalism and what the people want.
Right.
Give the people what they want. That's what your entire job is as a politician. Like, I don't understand where we get off this ramp of well, you know what? 30% of the United States believes that this thing is here, so that's what I'm going to hang my hat on.
Conservatives, they just want a celebrity so bad.
Yes,
they
they
don't
do.
have one.
Well, what do you got, Kevin Sorbo? Get out of here.
Ted Nugent. I mean, that's their guy. I mean, it's like,
Ted Nugent. Go ahead and listen to Jailbait and tell me exactly what Ted Nugent is all about.
remember
Just
Chris-
like I wouldn't vote for anybody in Foreigner.
Chris Christie is like the biggest Bruce Springsteen fan, and it's like, and you've heard this,
Jersey?
yeah. And Springsteen's like, no, I don't want you using my music. It's
No,
like-
I lived in Jersey for a year, and on the radio, every third song was either The Boss or Jovi. Every third song was one of those two.
Glory days.
Yeah, Glory Days all the time. And I couldn't stand it. I'd switch it off. I'd switch it off to another station, and guess what I heard? Jovi, you're the boss.
I didn't realize he was that big. I mean, I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, in Jersey, all day. But I think what is happening here is that it is the internet wave. You're going to feel the full force of the Swifties.
Yeah.
I mean, even with that poll that said that it's 18% would endorse a president or vote for a president that Taylor Swift did. That is a shot in the arm. Taylor Swift gives him the endorsement. he actually stands up for foreign affairs. We don't need to get into it. We don't need to actually say which ones, but essentially he stands up and pulls his pants up and pulls his britches up and says, no, this is what we're going to do, line in the sand.
We're all in this together.
And yeah, we're all in this. Right there, he gets a 40% jump in the polls. I almost guarantee it. And that's what they're waiting on. There is a lot of pull this in case of emergency for Joe Biden right now. I don't see any on the other side other than Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley is the only break glass in case of emergency on the other side of the house. How do you guys feel about that? Do you see anything else? Do you think all of a sudden, once Trump is out, Mitt Romney's going to stand up and say, oh, you know what? I want to be president again?
I'm still convinced they're going to do the bait and switch with Joe.
With Joe Biden?
Yeah.
Who are they switching it with?
Gavin Newsom?
They're just going to switch it to Newsom?
Yeah.
What if Taylor endorses Newsom? Taylor endorses Gavin Newsom tomorrow, Paul. What happens?
Ooh, fire. That's shockwaves. It's shockwaves through the, I'd say. Because, I don't know when's the last time the DNC would have, where the party or people in the party itself back anyone but the incumbent president. It's been a while. So I would think that'd be shockwaves.
That would give me the Swift right there.
That would give you the Swift.
Instant.
Ooh, bedridden.
Feeling a little,
tears and
sick to
joy.
my stomach.
All of it. Okay, sick to your stomach again. What if Taylor says, you know what? I really do want to be a full-on princess, just like maybe Diana, or I want to be royalty.
We're switching it all up to a monarch.
Yep, she says, I want to really be a princess and really rule the kingdom, right?
Tiara, yes.
She turns around and says, Donald Trump, give me a position of Duchess of Boston.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, make me Duchess of New England.
Yeah.
New York.
Yeah,
The Duke of,
Exactly. I am the Duchess of the West Coast. Make me that, and I'll endorse you. Do you think Donald Trump does it? You think he throws away and says, you know what, you're right. We had some disagreements. But
he is, the one thing that I guess you could say is silver lining is good about Trump is that literally he has no morals. He literally has no morals. So you can literally, he goes from the guy jumps back and forth from position to position better than anyone sees, and especially when it comes to opponents. Like, you'll spend a guy trashing him, and then all of a sudden, the campaign's over. Oh, the greatest guy! Look at this guy. He's so good. He's the best.
Ben, what happens when the Republicans do not stop poking the dragon? The sleeping dragon that is Taylor Swift and the Swifties. What happens? What do you think? Are they going to just start buying up tickets to Trump's events and not showing up? They've done things like that before. Are they going to visit a website all at the exact same time so they can crash that website? Yeah, they've done that before.
It's kind of like, honestly, probably nothing, because it's just people being upset that they're getting triggered. They're just upset that they're triggered, and they're screaming and letting people know. But in a good hypothetical way, what the Swifties could do, what I would see a Swiftie doing, would be really getting out there and campaigning, actually becoming politically inspired to go do this stuff. Be like, go find all the sad guys at the bowling alley or whatever. Be like, what's your birthday? What's your address? Okay, would you meet me here on November 4th? And oh, wait.
Do you believe in women's rights?
Are we voting, Ben?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we're voting now.
We need to activate the Beehive somehow. I don't know if you know what the Beehive is. That's Beyonce's. That's what she calls her group of fans. So get the Beehive and the Swifties.
That's
together.
what I mean. They put on blue hats that all say, what would Taylor do?
Right.
The WWTD instead of MAGA. And then they all just show up with flags. The blue hats show up with trans flags and rainbow flags, and the right side shows up with, the ones that they like.
T-Swift DNC.
I'll just leave it there. Yeah. Anyway, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for being here for Apolitical Talk Show. We've got more planned for this month because this is... it is Black Black History Month. Sorry. For some reason, I keep trying to call it African American Month, but it is Black History Month, and we've got a bunch of people that we are bringing in from the media around Chicago to be part of this show, a political talk show. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
WCGO 1590 AM, W240EH 95.9 FM, Evanston, Chicago.